Peter Gammons is calling us in once again. One of my all-time favorites from back in the day at the Worldwide Leader from MLB Network, which is live winter meetings coverage all day and night from Nashville. Hall of Fame baseball columnist Peter Gammons right here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you been, Peter?
I've been great, Rich. You should come to one of these things, but I can tell you, don't come here to the Opryland Hotel because, well, for instance, when I checked in, the guy said, it's approximately 0.8 of a mile to your room.
No.
I went, what? They actually have like boats going around in some little waterway here. It's hilarious.
Are you serious? So you could see like Cashman and you know, Cashman's in a boat, something like.
No, I don't think he would get in the boat, but.
Okay. So these things, general managers never come out of their suites. They don't go into the lobby because there's so many people around, job seekers, so they just stick in their suites and have room service. And the only time a guy leaves his suite is to go to some other general manager's suite, just to talk trades. So what do you think is the biggest story so far of the last week and a half of the hot stove, Peter?
I think Arizona trying to go for it. Now, I mean, it's dangerous. But, I mean, it's the contract they signed Zach Greinke to, which is amazing. It went from idea to finish in 13 hours. I mean, it was going to be Giants or Dodgers, and all of a sudden they jumped in and did the contract. And I think the deal last night for Shelby Miller, where they traded away the #1 pick in the draft of June and 2 other really good prospects. Arizona's making that move, and I think that they kind of look at it and say, you know what, this is a good time because the Dodgers are not exactly going through a great period, and they seem to be a little bit sort of on a treadmill right now. And so they figure, what the heck, the Dodgers are not going to be great. The Giants are very good, but if we get enough pitching, we might be able to beat them, and they're trying to bring something back to Arizona for the first time since 2001.
So which of the moves surprised you the most? Which of something that's gone down is saying, you know what, I didn't see that one coming, or I don't think that's the best move to be made?
The move that I never saw, and I know Ken Rosenthal didn't either, because we were together on it, that Arizona signed it. I mean, that came out of nowhere. So that was, as I say, at 9 o'clock, the night before, Dave Stewart, a couple other people were talking about, well, we'd love to have Greinke. And so I called the owner and said, what do you think? And we'd love to do it, thinking he would say no.
So what do you
go for it?
What do you think of the Price signing, Peter?
Well, I don't know what it will be 6 years from now, but I do know the Red Sox, their money, they so needed an outlook dog at the top of their rotation that they just felt any price. They didn't want to give up a draft choice. So he was by far the best pitcher that wouldn't cost them a draft choice. And basically, they got to give anything you want. I think the Cardinals were the 190 million, and the Red Sox were 200. And I think the Red Sox had a pretty good idea that if the Cardinals were within 10 million, he'd go to St. Louis. So they went to 217. They got him. And, they got that part of the rotation started. They desperately needed. I think it's a very important signing. I thought when you take Kimball to pitch at the end, and all the guys that they have lined up. I mean, I like to sort of set up pitching staffs in books I keep. I do the top 15 guys because you're going to need 15 pitchers to lead the starters before you even get to August. And I think this is the deepest they've had to deal with Seattle at the crisis since line love. And they have a lot of contracts, a lot of different looks to the pitching staff, particularly the bullpen, which they haven't had in years. And I think that they're really well set up. And I'll tell you what else is really interesting. It's the way the Yankees have gone about it. I think that Brian Cashman's done a great job trying to bring age and basically the payroll of everyday players down. So eventually, when they're ready to be, these young players get to be 27, 28, they can go out and get a couple of big free agents the way the Yankees have in the past. And, I thought the Cubs deal was interesting. I think that now they're going to have 5 regulars under 27, including a couple starting pitchers. So that's a huge change for the Yankees. Go back, take a step back, and say, all right, he's going to be good for 10 years now. And I think that it's been very hard to ever do that being in New York.
Okay. Peter, hang on right now. Law, check your phone's a little bit wonky would be the only word for it. You know, Chris is going to try and deal with that right now. And, you know, it's interesting how he said that Greinke came out of nowhere. 13 hours from idea to actual signing.
I think everyone just assumed he was going to re-sign with the Dodgers.
Or go to the Giants.
One or the other.
And then all of a sudden, they've just decided to go for it, as he said.
Are you
getting
traded to Arizona anytime soon?
I don't think so.
Because they are acquiring everyone right now.
Well, we're already on 9:10 a.m. there in Phoenix. We're already there. We're already been acquired. The Rich Eisen Show's been acquired.
Okay, good. Okay.
We love our affiliate down there in the Valley of the Sun as well. Is he back? Is he back there, Chris?
He said he hasn't been outside of the hotel since he got to Nashville. He just stepped outside for us, though.
Okay.
It sounds a little better.
Okay. You there, Peter?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. Terrific. So did baseball cringe? Would that be the best word for what Dusty Baker said yesterday, sounding quite flippant about the domestic violence policy of Major League Baseball? Can you walk us through what Major League Baseball is thinking right now of the new Nationals manager?
Well, I worked with Dusty.
Yep.
2 or 3 years at ESPN, and he was the manager who first brought Chapman to the big leagues. And I think what he was trying to say is, I want all the information first. I don't think in any way was he dismissing the importance of domestic violence, but it just came out wrong. I know later in the evening he was extremely upset about having it come out the wrong way. I think Dusty's always a player's guy, so he's saying, listen, until I know everything about this, I'm gonna pass, and I still like the guy, and we'll see what happens. I do think this, though, that Rob Manfred is going to come down very hard. I would not want to be, if what they find is that most of the reporting on the Jose Reyes, Yasiel Puig, and Aroldis Chapman stories are correct. I think Rob Manfred will come down on it very hard. There's no question that baseball wants to step forward with it, and I think it could be very interesting. One of the interesting things about Chapman, if he gets suspended long enough, he won't be a free agent at the end of the year. So he needs like 100. He needs about 120 days on the roster. If he's suspended for 50, 60 days, he won't get it, which adds to it. But I think when they did their agreement during the season last year about domestic violence with the Players Association, one of the most interesting things is there is no appeal process. If a guy is suspended, the union can't get involved in it. They can complain, except I don't think Tony Clark is going to say, domestic violence isn't that bad a thing. We're going to defend the player. This is very serious for those 3 players. Mm-hmm. And Rob, I'll talk about this. I've known Rob for a long time. He's a very thoughtful man, and he listens to everybody. I mean, media makes suggestions. He listens. He's very polite. But I know him from his labor negotiation. He is a really tough guy. And I think that it's going to be. I think all 3 of those players had better have very good defenses, because I think otherwise I'd be surprised if it was anything under 50 games, and I think it will be more. And there's nothing the union can do about it because they don't have the right to an appeal.
A couple of quick hitters for you, Peter. What's going on with Cueto? Where might he wind up, do you think?
Well, right now, there's nothing going on with him. Right now, there's kind of the universal belief that he should have taken that $120 million from Arizona. His name has been, he and Cespedes have been noticeably absent from any rumors, which I find very interesting. I think they're both going to be mid-January signings. I think this is going to go on with both of them for a fairly long time. I mean, Cueto wants by turning down the $120 million, he clearly wants at least $140 million. And I'm not sure it's out there. Not the way he pitched when he got to Kansas City last year, with some questions about him physically.
And what about the two Mets that are out there, Cespedes and Daniel Murphy, who a lot of people thought he would make himself some money in that postseason run. But right now, a lot of folks thought maybe he winds up with the Yankees, who went ahead and took Castro from the Cubs. What about those two guys?
I think that in Murphy's case, I think now that Ben Zobrist has signed, I think maybe there'll be a path to Murphy, both with American League teams looking for more of a bat and National League teams who are looking for guys that can play a lot of positions. I think that we may start hearing more about Murphy. I was told that it will be a good month before we have much clarity on Cespedes. Because, I mean, he's a spectacular player, but he also has a 300 lifetime on-base percentage. He showed in the World Series he doesn't always get too emotionally involved in play. I just don't see him getting a 5-year contract for $20 million a year, and it's clearly what he wants.
Last question for you, Peter. What do you think about Barry Bonds back in baseball as the hitting coach for Mattingly in Florida? What did you think about that?
It's fascinating to me because I told people that having had the experience of spending time with him, talking hitting, going out to dinner and so forth, he and Ted Williams are so much alike. It's incredible. I mean, the only problem is a very different era. And I think Barry would be a great coach. John Mattingly was on board with it. I think it'll be great for Stanton because there are a lot of connections there. Dexter Fowler actually lives in San Francisco these last 2 off seasons to work with Barry all the time. Stanton was in his wedding. But the question is going to be, come June, does Barry want to be lugging that ball bag out of the clubhouse out onto the field? I mean, it's how much is it going to be something that he sticks with for the year? A coach's life is pretty miserable. I mean, you spend a lot of hours, and if it does become something of a problem, is it then going to be a distraction? Because I think the media leash on Barry will be very short. And hopefully Mattingly can handle it. Barry is really smart. It would be terrific to have there, but there are a lot of risks that go along with it.
So are you saying that Mattingly didn't that Mattingly was put together with Barry Bonds? This wasn't Mattingly's idea?
Well, I think it was suggested, and all the Marlins people say Donnie loved the idea. And, I mean, I think sometimes really good players, when they asked Dusty Baker about managing Bryce Harper, he said, it's not a problem. I was a star, too. And
sure.
I think they think that way. Donnie is different. I mean, this is a guy that lived in the same house that he bought when he was in AAA for like 30 years. He's a very modest person. So it will be interesting. I do think that Barry will have a lot of respect for Don. And I think that's probably the one place where it would really work, where the media won't be able to let's face it, this is not criticism of the media. The media wants to know all that story. And Barry's going to have to give up some of that time. It will be a little bit of a distraction, especially in spring training. But I think Donnie's the one guy that could hold it all together. And I think after what he went through in Los Angeles, I think Donnie's going to be so happy to be there in Miami for a year.
Yeah.
I know he's moving there. That he'll try to make anything work.
Peter, thanks for making this work, stepping out of the hotel for the first time of the winter meetings to chat on the show. As always, Peter.
If it was raining, I might not have been able to do it.
Peter, thanks again. Happy holidays to you.
Thanks,
You bet.
You too, Rick.
That's Peter Gammons at PGammo. He's part of MLB Network's live winter meetings coverage all day and night from Nashville, Tennessee.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.